entertainment scene is always thriving across Western Washington, and Art Zone host Nancy Guppy is also thriving. She has compiled her favorites and she brings them to us here in a segment we've been waiting for.
Yes, exactly.
Glad to see you again.
It's really good to see you, and of course, I mean, summer's still kind of here, but we're going into the fall, and we're kind of ramping up in the art scene, so there's a lot going on. The machine is going. So let's start with some theater. ACT is doing a new production of The Crucible.
I never get tired of this play.
This is an amazing play written by Arthur Miller. So the story, as many people might know, is based on the Salem witch trials that took place in the Massachusetts colony in 1690 or something like that. The play came out in the 50s, and it was really about McCarthyism, which is when people were accused of being communists. They were hauled in front of the House of Un-American Activities, and forced or said, you must confess and you must finger other people as well. Not a good thing. So, in fact, Miller was actually called in front of the committee as well. So with all this finger pointing going on politically, ACT decided this is a good time to bring this play back. Yes, I think the audience understands that. And so it's going to be a unique production, a great cast, and it's not going to be like Massachusetts in the 1600s. It's going to be much more contemporary, connecting a lot more to what's going on in our country right now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that opens on Friday, October 13th. Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th.
There you go.
As it should. That's way fun.
Yeah, witches. So now, if you like your political art a little more on the silly side, I want to suggest Rocket Men. And I don't know if you are familiar with this. They were part of SIF. So it's a retro sci-fi web series created by animator and filmmaker Webster Crowell. The premise is, so that's just like a little plastic version or something. Here's the guys. So the premise is Rocket Men. It's an FDR era program, kind of World War II-ish. Men in tight leather jackets with rockets on their backs were placed around the city on rooftops, scanning the sky for communist invasion or giant robots, whatever came first.
Yes.
Right? Now, the good news is that America was not attacked by communists or giant robots. However, the bad news is nobody told the Rocket Men. So they are still on the rooftops. They're scanning away.
Come down.
It's very funny, great costumes. It's just a riot. So all 7 episodes are going to be screened at Northwest Film Forum on Thursday, September 28th. There's a happy hour before the screening, and apparently some of the Rocket Men will be in the audience ready to save anyone who needs saving. So just in case you want to know that.
You want a Rocket Man.
You always want a Rocket Man.
Available for trouble.
At any time.
There might be trouble.
We need one right over there.
Who says we don't have one? There might be one right in the corner.
Wait a minute, up in the rafters. So I want to mention a quick a book. Barrett Martin, and you might be familiar with Barrett.
He's been on the show.
Yes, so he's a composer, drummer, renowned drummer. He was in Screaming Trees and Mad Season, Walking Papers, of course, Tuatara. So he's written a book, and it's called The Singing Earth, and it's a memoir about his travels around the globe, going to a lot of very indigenous cultures and connecting in with music, and essentially the idea that music is the great connector in the world. So it's a really cool book. It's available on his website and on stores, and I think some record stores in town.
That's wonderful. He's an interesting man.
He really is, and he's a strong man as well. Did you see the picture of him? Oh, anyway, I'll show it to you later. It's him lifting me up over my head.
I think it might be coming.
It might be coming at the end. Okay,
we're going to see it at the end.
That's a little tease. That's a little tease. And he has a show, by the way, at Nectar Lounge with some walking paper people on the 22nd.
Walking paper people.
Yeah, so that's going to be a great show.
Some other members of the walking paper.
Now, speaking of music, there's lots of benefits we all know going around the country for Harvey and Hurricane Irma. One not to be missed if you're a Led Zeppelin fan, and I am. It's featuring the band Urban Achievers, a great lineup of vocalists, Jen Ayers, Sarah Rudinoff, Kim Virant, to name a few. And in fact, a few years ago, Sarah and Jen did a cappella version of Battle of Evermore.
Wow.
I have it on my iPhone. It's knocks your socks. Yeah, it knocks your socks off.
This is at the Royal Room,
This is the Royal Room, which we love.
Venue.
And that's Friday, September 29th at 8 p.m. And I would recommend that's going to sell out, and you want to get a seat. I think it's best to sit for something like that. Go early, get some dinner, get a drink, and sit there and enjoy the show. And obviously support an incredibly important situation going on. Finally, I want to mention a few visual art exhibits, and I don't know how to say this last name. The first one is Sophie. It's Kniff.
Maybe the K is silent.
It's like Scandinavian. Anyway, she is a photographer, and she's got this new show. It's called Tales. It's the pictures are inspired by stories and fairy tales that we kind of learned as kids. And that runs for through October 13th at Marianne Ibrahim Gallery in Pioneer Square. Sadly, that gallery is moving to New York, and Marianne's leaving, which is sad because she's great. Right. It's a classy joint. But anyway, go see that. The next one is Zaria Foreman. When I saw her work, look at this. I thought it was photography. It's actually drawings. So the new show, it's called Antarctica, and it was inspired by a 4-week residency that she did aboard the National Geographic. It's a really mind blower, and these are really big, huge pieces. So Antarctica runs now through November 4th. It's really pretty.
You feel cold.
You do. Yeah, that blue kind of gray, and that's at Winston Walker Gallery, which is by the old King TV on Dexter. And
hole in the ground where King TV used to be.
And finally, Dan Webb. Dan is an extraordinary wood sculptor, and he's got a new show. It's called The Visitor. He often will carve pieces. That's not obviously wood, but there's a lot of different kinds of things.
I was so confused.
Yes, that's clear wood. No, but he'll take often one piece of wood, and the sculpture he makes a sculpture out of one piece, and it looks like it's all different pieces, but it's not. It's really astonishing. And that runs through October 20th at Kusera Gallery in Pioneer Square.
Perfect, perfect. Nancy, thank you so much. New episodes of Art Zone with Nancy Guppy will return on Friday, September 29th. There you are. There's Barrett holding you up over his head. That is strong, although you're a tiny thing. September 29th at 8 o'clock on the Seattle channel. Her first guest is Barrett Martin from the band Walking Papers, seen here holding Nancy up in the air.
Yes,
he obviously let you down eventually.
Yeah, eventually. Not on my head.
And visit our website, please, for more on the shows that Nancy mentioned today. We'll be right back.